Hello everybody, welcome back.
Welcome back to the channel.
This video is going to be a little kind of pieced together, or as I like to say, a little Frankenstein together.
Ooh, I like that.
Because we weren't going to start with this topic just because I don't think many people thought Arsenal would lose the last two matches that they played, but that is what happened, kind of shockingly, I would say. And a lot of people are just surprised about that. So we're going to talk a tiny bit about that and then kind of go on. We're going to call this video kind of WSL Madness or Madness in the WSL. And that's going to be kind of like the theme. It's a couple of older stories, but just kind of things that happened in the last couple weeks. Also, you guys have probably noticed that we have kind of slowed down making videos. That's not necessarily intentional, but we have been working a lot in IRL. Sarah told me I was not allowed to say that.
You have to say IRL, not in IRL, because that's in real life.
Oh, okay, just IRL. We've been working a lot, and this isn't about like Trump or just working as much as we can. Who knows what's happening with the world as it is, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
The Last of Us is happening.
Yes.
The infected ones. No, I'm just kidding.
So we have just been working a lot. So it's not intentional. Hopefully we get back to making more videos, but that's kind of the big Arsenal loss. We're going to talk about it in a second, but they lost to Aston Villa 5-2, big loss there, 5-2 last Wednesday, I guess it was at this point. Then, shockingly, they lost to Brighton 4-2. Now, Brighton's a good team. They've been kind of up and down this season, but I think they're going to end the season in 5th place in the standings. But a big 4-2 loss. I'm going to have Sarah read.
Brighton and Hove Albion women produced a stunning performance to defeat Arsenal women 4-2 at Broadfield Stadium this evening, marking their first ever Women's Super League victory over the Gunners. This result deals a significant blow to Arsenal's hopes of securing second place and Champions League qualifications. There is now only 1 point between Arsenal women, who are second, and Man United, who are third in the WSL table. With Brighton taking all 3 points today, second and third placements in the WSL will go down to the wire in Saturday's last game of the WSL season. However, with Man City now unable to catch either team, both teams will go through to next season's UEFA's Women's Champions League. All that remains to be determined is whether they enter at the round 1 or round 2 stage of the competition.
So this is kind of major. This means if Arsenal doesn't win this last game, that means Arsenal's in danger, Sarah. It's in danger.
If only I could protect them.
Now, what are they in danger of? They're in danger of not securing that second spot. So that means they would enter in round 1 of Champions League next year, which is pretty major. It adds games to the schedule, more stress on the team. They actually entered, I believe, round 1 this year, and they're getting to the final, so it can be done. But you don't want to enter in round 1 if you don't have to. Man United is on a high right now. They've qualified for Champions League. They probably are saying, hey, we want to win and we want to enter in round 2 to make it easier on us. But this is a big match when I don't think anyone anticipated it ending the way that it's ending for Arsenal, especially because they're on a high from going to the Champions League final. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, if they win the final of Champions League, do they get like grandfathered into the second round or something? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. But they need to win. They've lost the last 2. We're going to read a couple comments, but I don't think most people thought they would be here. And it's also like, are they just kind of saving themselves for the Champions League final? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But is that also a possibility?
We'll see. Only time will tell.
I didn't save these comments in an order, so I'm going to start with this comment because we're going to just comment from the Brighton game. But somebody says right here, Jenna was such a bright spot today. So Jenna hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, but yeah, she played great, looked great. Great to see her out there playing. You know, it's always hard. She hasn't played a lot, and that's one of the things coming to a team like Arsenal. You're not necessarily going to play a lot, but it was great that she got to play. And then someone says right here,
McCabe is knackered. That's why she's not playing best at the moment. She needs to be rested.
Yeah, so that could go 2 ways. Is she not putting her complete full out there because she wants to save herself, or is she just completely exhausted just from all the games? I don't know. And then a lot of people kind of put this loss kind of, yeah, I'll read this comment. I did see this a few times.
The defenders have no faith in Zinsberger, and it shows. When we trust our goalkeeper, aka DVD, the defenders seem more relaxed and tend to make better decisions because they're not under so much pressure. Sadly, I think Manu's time at Arsenal is up.
But I also saw a comment like this. I'll have Sara read.
Can't be bothered to come into these comments and see it all pinned on Manu. 3 of those goals had nothing to do with her. Poor defending and decision making were the reason for the goals we leaked. Exactly the same as what happened on Wednesday. Team have no confidence in themselves right now and need to pick themselves back up ASAP to try and regain a little bit of momentum before the CL final.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, that's what everyone is focused on, but also I believe they're already in the Champions League for next year, but they want to go on in round 2. They don't want to have to play more games. And someone goes right here, 2 massive games to go. Let's go, ladies, and finish on a high. So they can still do it. But this was hard to watch. This was hard. Last 2 games, 2 losses. And I don't know. Yeah, so we will say, we're starting out this video talking about the recent Arsenal loss. Like I said, timestamps down below. We're gonna kind of be all over the place. So we're gonna go on to the next part of the video. But what does everyone think? Arsenal fans, are you worried? Are you guys just kind of like, we don't care what happens now? We're in Champions League. Let's just focus on this year's Champions League final, and then everything will figure itself out. But we'll go on to the next part of the video.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel.
Wow, that was a lot of energy there.
I know, had to get it all out.
But it is, I can understand why, because it is a very exciting time in the WSL and also in the NWSL. We're not talking about the NWSL in this video, but we've been enjoying the games. Exciting game today. I mean, it's a lot is going on. But we're gonna mostly talk about the WSL today because a lot is going on, and I don't want to say unpredictable things, but a lot of predictable / unpredictable things, because last week the WSL championship was decided because no one can beat them now. So it's officially Chelsea have won the WSL league title, the WSL title, and for the 6th consecutive year. We're going to talk about that in a second, but also today was the big Man United Manchester City match, and this decided who was going to go on to the Champions League next season. And surprisingly, I had been saying for weeks it was still going to be Man City. Yeah, they had injury. Yeah, Gareth Taylor left. Yeah, all these things. But I don't want to say surprisingly, but Man United have pulled it out and they will be going to Champions League. It will not be Manchester City, which I know, Sarah, you're pretty excited because, I mean, we're going to talk about Fallon in a second, but she's killing it. I mean, she really is.
PTJ.
Yeah. And also, I guess I'll talk about it now. When she left Seattle rated NWSL, she went into Manchester United where Mary Earps was the number 1 goalie. In that, you're really taking a chance because you're like, well, I'm not going to be number 1. How much am I going to play? When am I going to get my opportunity to be the number 1 there? And she took a chance and it really worked out.
She's shining.
Yeah.
She's shining. Keep shining.
I'm keeping that in. And Manchester City, their fans are very, very, just bummed. So many people are hurt. People don't like Nick Cushing's. So a lot going on there in that match. But I guess we'll talk about the Chelsea match. We're not really going to talk about it, but the match that decided their WSL victory was the match against United as well. 1-0 against Man United, and that clinched their victory in the WSL title race. Arsenal did lose big to Villa, so that played a part in it. I believe Chelsea only had to draw United to actually to win the title. I don't think a lot of Arsenal fans are really worried about that because there was very little hope for them to win the title anyway, but it's kind of disappointing that completely knocked them out of any chance to win the title. But I'll have Sara read about Chelsea's big win.
Chelsea wins 6th straight WSL title, on course to go unbeaten. Chelsea clinched the Women's Super League title for the 6th straight season on Wednesday with a 1-0 win against Manchester United. Chelsea had been planning to lift the title against Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday, but their title celebrations were brought forward after Arsenal were dealt a 5-2 defeat to Aston Villa, meaning just a draw on Wednesday would be enough. The Blues won the WSL in their last 5 campaigns under Emma Hayes, and her successor, Sonia Bompastor, has only added to Chelsea's domination. I'm struggling to read. The WSL has gone down to the final day in the last 3 seasons, yet Bompastor has earned her first English domestic title with games to spare. Wins in the remaining 2 games would see the side go unbeaten in the league and eclipse the WSL points record, 58, they set themselves in 2022 to 2023.
So big, like I said, they weren't planning on winning. Aston Villa, they haven't been playing great this season, but they've really kicked it up a gear the last month or so, and they're winning games. They beat Arsenal big, so that kind of led Chelsea to have the celebration on Wednesday. Also, Lucy Bronze with the game-winning goal, a header from her. And actually, it's so funny because Rachel Daly and Millie Bright have a podcast. I don't know if it's new. I've just been watching it and seeing it on YouTube. And then Rachel Daly said something to Millie Bronze because she plays for Aston Villa.
Millie Bronze?
She said something to Millie Bright and she said, yeah, before the game happened, she goes, I want to try to help you guys. Like Aston Villa wants to help Chelsea beat Arsenal to make it easier for Chelsea. You catch me? And then after Aston Villa beats Arsenal, the next podcast was Rachel Daly telling Millie, right, basically, you're welcome. We basically
did her a favor.
Yeah, did her a solid. So 6th straight title. And I mean, I guess that's what this is even more about. Are Chelsea fans excited? They're pumped, 6 straight titles. But are they also kind of like, yeah, it's great, but almost like been there, done that at this point, considering what's been happening in Champions League? Yeah, because I was like, yeah, 6 is great. I mean, very impressive, especially with the competition. But it's almost like, okay, well, Champions League turned out kind of bad. Not really, but for Chelsea, you've done what you need to do, but not gone on to the next step in winning Champions League.
Out with the old, in with the new. My High School Musical fans will know what's up.
So basically, yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of what I have in my notes, saying they're excited. But I mean, you can't deny 6 straight titles. That's very exciting. And also Arsenal. At this point, Arsenal's kind of like, we care about the title, but they want to win Champions League because they can win Champions League because. Switch the 2 roles. Would Chelsea fans be fine with having Arsenal win league and going to the finals to Champions League? You get what I'm saying? Like, would Chelsea fans be like, yeah, we would take that in a second? I don't know. It's just fun that there's so many important titles, races, league, the titles, trophies in Europe. I think it's a very exciting thing.
Yeah, so many things to compete for there.
Yeah. So what did everyone think about that? Also, going back to Arsenal losing, does that make people worried about Arsenal's game plan moving forward? And, they've already qualified for Champions League next year. So that's the important part as well. But I guess going on to today's game, United versus Man City. I didn't realize this, but if United tied, that's all they needed to qualify for next year's Champions League. But this was a wild game. I will say I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was a pretty wild game. It turns out that City will not be going to Champions League next year. And I'll have Sara read this.
Manchester United has secured Champions League qualifications for the 2nd time in their history, finishing with a dramatic 2-2 draw against Manchester City. Despite being down to 10 players and trailing 2-0, United showed resilience, eventually leveling the score with key contributions from substitutions. Interim City coach Nick Cushing could not achieve a top 3 finish, ultimately missing out on Champions League football. However, while United celebrated, they faced significant challenges ahead, especially in recruitment and investment, to maintain and build on their success.
So yeah, came down from 2 goals down, and they were 1 player down at the 68th minute. They were down to 10 players, and they still pulled it out. Now, I guess they still pulled out a draw. They didn't pull out a win, but they pulled out a draw. And to beat your rivals, this game was what decided whether or not you went on I don't know, very exciting. Also, Emily Heaslip, she does it again. People, I think we're gonna read some comments. People, she's like the enemy of the WSL. Like, a lot of people have issues with her reffing, but to be fair, she was given some crazy calls on both sides today. In the 11th minute, there was a goal, and I even forget who it was, but it was for United. Score a goal, but then Emily Heaslip blows her whistle, and even the commentator's like, I'm not sure what that was for. And he was like in his mind, he was like talking out loud. Was it for offsides? No. Was it because someone gave a little shove in the back? Maybe. Like, he couldn't figure it out either. So I don't know. That was a goal that could have gone in for United. It didn't. And then for the red card, it was kind of a silly challenge, and it possibly was a second yellow, but I think a lot of refs maybe wouldn't have given that second yellow to make it a red. And I think a lot of people said, oh yeah, they could see it be a yellow, they could see it be a red, which would be a second yellow, but I don't know. But for United to come back from 2 down, very exciting. And now they're going to Champions League, and we're going to read some comments, but City just, their bench, they're injured. They're not investing as much as they need to get a solid bench. I don't know. We're going to read some comments, but I feel really bad for them. I really thought City were going to pull it out. They didn't. But I guess we'll read some comments from what we've kind of talked about. And also, it's just me. I recorded this video in a few different parts, and Sara had to go. But first, about the big Chelsea win, getting the 6th straight title, WSL title, very impressive. Someone goes, congrats, y'all. It wasn't an easy match, but y'all did it. Bronzy helping the team secure the title with a well-deserved goal, player of the match. Yeah, I mean, for it to be Lucy Bronze, very exciting. And then someone else goes, another year with success and a trophy. Yeah, people are excited, And then someone goes, we did it. Stand up for the champions. Well done, girls. Best club in the world. Chelsea fans are very excited. Take away Champions League. Yeah, it does suck, but you can't deny how exciting 6 straight titles is. I guess we'll go on to the Manchester United Manchester City match, because there's a lot of really disappointed City fans. And I saw this one comment in this. I saw this kind of a few different places. It says, need to be serious for a bit. This was the only game we had to win to get into the Champions League football, but you threw it away. And I don't think a lot of people thought they threw it away. I think a lot of people thought that injuries, management did not help them in their journey, because this next person said, serious squad depth needed so a season like this doesn't occur again. I don't know why the club thought this squad could play every fixture in addition to Champions League without expanding. We let so many players go last season and barely sign any new ones. LMFAO, just irresponsible. Yeah, I think a lot of people said, hey, without signing more players, getting more depth on the bench. Some people said they were set up from failure from the get-go. So someone says, so what's the problem at all? Bottle a 2-goal lead, 1 person down, and we still managed to lose knowing Champions League is on the line. Yeah. And someone says, devastated for you girls. The positive thing is next season can only be better. Yeah. That's kind of the takeaway, or how they say, like, hope, on to next season. Feel bad for the girls. They gave it everything, but management was not measuring up to the challenges. Yeah, I saw that a lot. And then United fans, so pumped. Big, huge, massive point. UWCL, here we come. Brilliant performance from the ladies, not just to draw, but more importantly, hold on with just 10 players in about 25 minutes to play. You are all history makers. You've done yourselves in the club proud. Yeah, only 2nd time in Champions League, held on. Sometimes when you have 1 player down, you almost kind of have the advantage, because you know that you're already, the cards are stacked against you, so go for it. So United fans so excited. And then I saw a lot of Emily Heaslip tweets, actually. Emily Heaslip is, you are useless. Emily Heaslip is such a terrible referee. Emily Heaslip ruling, and this is talking about the goal. Emily Heaslip ruling off the goal for no reason. Maybe she's not biased. She's just a shit ref. And that's very possible. I don't know. But yeah, what does everyone think? I'm not quite sure how I've pieced together this video. But a lot going on. WSL, the end of the season. So exciting. So pumped for successes, and it's tough when your team really is struggling and you don't know what the answers are, or you know what the answers are but they haven't happened. Also, I don't think we talked about this before, officially the London City Lionesses got promoted. Very excited for them. Super excited. And I believe Crystal Palace got relegated, which that's what I love about the WSL. I love relegation. It gives the last team something to fight for, instead of like in the United States. Now there's no draft with the NWSL, but that's kind of like the thing, almost like the joke in like baseball. But that's what I love about relegation. You really have something to fight for. But congrats to the London City Lionesses for going to First League. That will be very exciting. Michelle King, I saw her being interviewed, so very cool. Questions, comments down below. We'll talk to everyone later. Have a great night. Bye.